Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Star Mountain Outdoors and Bushcraft. I'm John, and today I am doing the Ravens Ridge Puerto Nambe Loop. It's a day hike of about 10 miles. So, come on and join me. I'm heading right back there. For this hike, we'll be using the same starting location as episode 4. From the Aspen Basin campground, follow the trail approximately 1 mile up the hill. At this point, you will see the wilderness boundary sign and a fence line. Take a right at the fence line. Follow the fence line until you reach a wonderful viewpoint. From there, follow the trail straight up the hill until you reach the Skyline trail at the top of Deception Peak. From the top of Deception Peak, scramble down to the Skyline trail that contours the slope between Deception and Lake Peak. Scramble up Lake Peak at the end. From the top of Lake Peak, follow the Skyline trail down to a saddle between Lake Peak and Penitent Peak. From the saddle, climb straight up to the top of Penitent Peak, where there's a rock shelter to rest from the wind. From the rock shelter, just follow the hillside straight down northeasterly until you get to a sign that directs you to the trail. Follow the trail down the hill as it winds down towards the Windsor Trail. At the junction with the Windsor Trail, take a left and head back to the trailhead. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that this is episode 5 of my Pecos Wilderness series. Alright, so after you climb the hill from the ski basin, you'll want to take a right at the fence line where the wilderness boundary is. Alright, the first part of the trail takes you up a moderately steep slope from the saddle where it branches off of the Windsor Trail, and you're climbing up through a very pretty aspen and spruce forest, and you're following the fence line, which I'm also assuming is the wilderness boundary. Alright folks, I made it to the first view spot on the trail. And it's an exceptional view of Lake Peak. And in the basin just below it, that's where Nambe Lake is. And this drainage that we're looking at is the Rio Nambe drainage, or part of it. Let's call it the South Fork. This is a beautiful spot to take a first rest break. And we've climbed a little over 1,000 feet, started at 10,000 feet, so we're a little over 11,000 foot in elevation right now. I can see somebody camped down there. It's in that meadow that I showed you on the last video, or not really meadow, but just kind of open area next to the creek where I said there's good campsites. I can see that from here. Good view of Santa Fe Baldy right here too. From that viewpoint, there's a very steep and braided trail heading up the hill. And you have to remember, this is not a maintained Forest Service trail. This is just kind of a use trail that goes up to the top of Deception Peak, where it meets with the Skyline Trail. And that's where we're going. Before I forget, today is Friday, July 10th, 2020. Here's the next view. The view points toward Tsuke and the Espanola Valley. Wow, I see a fresh fire down there. I don't remember hearing anything about that in the news. I don't know if you can see that right there. Alright, near the top of the hill you'll hit a talus slope. Stay to the left of that and follow the trail. Alright, I finally made it to the top of Raven's Ridge here. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna lie to you. That climb was no joke. I'm already pooped, and it's only 7:30 in the morning. The north aspect of Raven Ridge is covered in really thick Engelmann spruce forest. Here's another awesome viewpoint. You can see all the way into the Espanola Valley to Santa Fe Baldy. And we've got behind that tree, we've got Pecos Baldies, and I think that's Chimayosos Peak in the far background. And Lake Peak's just behind the trees here. And that's where I'm heading. Okay, there is a little trail off to the left here that takes you off Raven's Ridge and down to the ski runs. It might be a little quicker exit off the trail if you're heading clockwise around the trail instead of going all the way down the ridge. Alright, as we're making the final push up to Deception Peak just before the timberline, there's a couple of good views of Nambe Lake from the ridge up here. This will give you an idea of how high we are. We're probably close to 12,000 feet now. That's the way I came. You can see Santa Fe Baldy, Truchas Peaks in the background. And up where the people are is the top of Deception Peak. That's Tsuke Peak, where the radio towers are. That's the terminus of the Skyline Trail, which we have now hit. And this is the top of Deception Peak. This is the view of Lake Peak from Deception Peak. And this is the view of Penitent Peak. The easy way to go is to find the trail down the east side of Deception Peak and follow it to avoid the Knife Edge Ridge. Some nice views of the Santa Fe River watershed, which is closed to hiking, by the way. That's where I came from. And this is the hill I'm heading up. From the top of Lake Peak, there's an incredible view of Santa Fe to the left there, the Jemez Mountains. There's Nambe Lake below us, and the Espanola Valley. There is a view of Santa Fe Baldy and Truchas Peaks to the north. And, of course, Penitent Peak, which is our next destination. Check it out. A snowfield here in July. It's July 10th. We had a good snow year, I guess. So I'm right in the saddle, the bottom of the saddle, between Lake Peak and Penitent Peak. And from here I'm just going to climb straight up Penitent Peak. I could go around if I wanted to, but that's kind of the long way, and I want to get up on top of Penitent Peak anyway. So, anyway, I'm climbing straight ahead. Let me show you a 360-degree pan of the view from the top of Penitent Peak. It's absolutely beautiful. That's looking out east over the Pecos wilderness. To the south is the Santa Fe River drainage. There's Lake Peak, where we just came from. And north is Santa Fe Baldy. Alright everybody, I'm here in a little rock shelter on top of Penitent Peak. I've been enjoying the view out to the east, but it's time to get going. Good thing about it now is it's pretty much downhill from here until maybe the last 2 miles, where it's kind of a gradual uphill back to the pass and then down. But all in all, should be much easier. So the trail just kind of follows the ridge line down until you get to a sign that directs you into the trees where the trail is. Alright, here's the hillside I just hiked down. Here is the sign you want to look out for. It directs you back to the main trail. It's easy to spot though. I like hiking this section of trail past Penitent Peak. It's a pretty forest, and it really feels pretty wild back here because you're about the farthest from the trailhead. So anyway, I'm gonna just keep hiking and enjoy it. Okay, I'm at the junction of the Windsor and Skyline Trail, and I'm going to go on the Windsor Trail this way. It's actually the Skyline Trail too. But if you're coming from the other way, there is a sign that points you onto the Skyline Trail. Impassable for stock. So anyway, let's keep going. Okay, we're down to Puerto Nambe. I see a pretty nice campsite in there. It's barely 50 feet from the trail. I'm not very private, but one of the nicer, flatter spots around. And here's some meadow area. That's pretty much what Puerto Nambe is. It's just a couple meadows and some places to camp on for people on the way to Lake Catherine or Santa Fe Baldy. Alright, here is where we leave the Skyline Trail behind. We came from that way, and that way will take you to Lake Catherine, and this is the way we're going to go back to the trailhead. Alright, and I'm happy to point out that I know from past experience that there is only 4 miles left to go. I don't know if you can see it very well through the trees, but there is Penitent Peak. That is the ridge that I just hiked down and around. Alright, I'm passing the start of the Rio Nambe Trail. It goes that way, and I'm following the Windsor Trail up that way. All in all, this is one of my favorite hikes in the Santa Fe area. It's especially good in the fall when the aspen leaves are changing color. So I hope you enjoyed the hike, and come try it sometime. Trip information. The distance is 10.5 miles. Difficulty is strenuous because of very steep and scrambling conditions. Time required day hike to overnighter. There's views, wildlife, birding, fall colors. Seasons June through September. Usage is moderate to heavy. And contact the Espanola Ranger District for current conditions. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.